You need a couple of minutes that people
No,
are
ma'am,
entering,
it's
or
fine.
somebody will take care of that?
I was
Okay.
just like making sure that the live stream was up.
All right.
Okay, let's get on with the session. So,
Fantastic.
welcome to the fourth and final session of Talkmasters. I'm Haritesh, one of the conveners of We Speak, the Speaking Arts Club of IIT Bombay. It's a pleasure to have all of you guys here today as we continue our journey and a final milestone in mastering the art of communication. Before we begin, let me share a bit about our amazing club. We Speak is dedicated to fostering a love for public speaking and debating. Our club has achieved remarkable milestones, including being the first Indian team to reach the finals of Asian British Parliamentary Debate and advancing to the ESL finals of the World Universities Debating Championship. More importantly, we are a passionate community committed to helping everyone become better communicators. Sessions like today play a significant role in this mission, which brings me to Ravisha ma'am. Today, we are delighted to have Ravisha Agarwal ma'am with us. She's a public speaking and charismatic presence coach committed to helping individuals to enhance their communication skills and confidence. She has won the international storytelling competition at Speaker Nation, is a Toastmasters district level speech contest winner, and a TEDx speaker, all of which speaks volumes about her expertise as a public speaking coach. Having been mentored by Eric Edmides, a renowned business mentor and public speaking expert, she's a perfect guide to help you speak with conviction, whether it's excelling in a job interview or simply just getting your point across to the audience. The topic of today's session is understanding the art of persuasive communication. Ravisha ma'am will guide us today through the importance of communication in various aspects of life and provide practical strategies and techniques to help you master persuasive communication. Rest assured, this session would be an invaluable opportunity for those who seek to learn to be more persuasive. So without any further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Ms. Ravisha Agarwal. Over to you, Ravisha ma'am.
Thank you so much. Those were some really long sentences, quoting some really big claims, but I'm sure I'm going to enjoy this session. I hope you guys are. So, first of all, can I request some of you, most of you, whoever can come on camera, because honestly, I don't want to feel like I'm talking to the wall. That's the last thing I want to do. All right. And second thing that is very important to me is I will be asking questions and I want all the wrong answers. Like, if you give me right answers, I will make sure I put you out of the room. I want people who are extremely open to giving the worst answers and the wrong answers, because there's always something that's wrong that eventually turns out to be right, right? So I love rebellious people who are willing to say, I don't think that's right, or I think that could have been done like that. That's the most fun way to go ahead. Now, a very important thing that I would like to ask, and I will not move the session ahead if I don't get the answer to that. Exactly from which culture did the whole art of persuasion come? Like, any idea about who do you think was the first person to have bought this? We need to be persuasive on the platform, or humans need to know how to be persuasive. Who do you think it was? We're there. We'll keep staying.
The
Anybody?
Greeks.
The Greek, yes. And the guy? Which Greek guy? I know Greeks are smart, so you have a good guess. But which Greek guy? Any clue? Wrong answers. Throw Medusa if you want, but just give an answer. Anybody? Nobody? You guys are IITians. You should be willing to give wrong answers. I know there's no paper going on, but I'll not negative mark you. But it was Aristotle.
Aristotle.
Brilliant. I would have loved to see the face to the name and the voice, but thank you so much. So, what were his three things that he said that are really world famous? What were the three words that he said? Wrong answers, please. Wrong answers. Even if you know one, it's fine. Anybody wants to raise hand? Anything of that sort? Or we have something in chat. You think we have people who are okay? Yes, I got Joel has got correct. The logos, the ethos, and the pathos. That was the first thing that came up. And the reason was that Greek were one of the most strongest empires in the world, and they knew that people, if they actually had to rule others, they need to be able to speak with conviction and clarity, and to persuade people and their own people to fight on their behalf. So this was something that came up. And eventually they realized that more number of people who knew the idea of ethos, logos, pathos meant they had the equal amount of power to be able to persuade and influence others. So this, like the curriculum was taught, the Greek eventually kind of made it like a smaller pyramid, and less number of people knew about this concept. So let's just kind of understand if somebody knows what does ethos, logos, pathos means. If anybody would like to tell me anything at all. Let's try the word pathos. What is the closest word that you think comes to your mind when you think of pathos?
Something related to germs or
Could you be loud, buddy?
something related to germs or like diseases as such.
I'll give you a very funny, pathological. Like, have you pathological? Something related to, right? Pathological. So that's an easier way to remember. So when you are able to connect to people emotionally, that's pathos. That's emotional connect, right? Then you come to logos. Now, logos is the easiest of them all. Logos.
Logic.
Correct. You need to be logical when you're talking. Nobody wants to hear you talk gibberish if you're talking absolutely nonsensical. Nobody is interested in that. And then you come to ethos. What is ethos?
Something related to connecting to the people emotionally, maybe.
No, that was pathos. Ethos, ethical, yes, somewhere like ethical. So let's kind of say ethics being authority. Like, how authoritative are you? Why would I want to listen to you? I would not just stand somewhere on a crossroad and listen to any Tom, Dick, and Harry talking. There need to be some authority about that person that I'm like, okay, you're talking, I'm willing to give my ear. Otherwise, I'm like, just leave the door, you're just wasting my time. So you need to be very sure that all these three are covered when you are talking. So I'll just take an example for you guys. You guys come from IIT, right? So you have one tick mark which comes in as ethos. So if you go around and you say, you're standing between a cohort of, say, engineering students, and you say, I'm from IIT Bombay. So you have a bit of authority there. It comes to you naturally because you have a label attached to you. That's exactly what ethos, logos, pathos went. And then came Mr. Robert Cialdini, who went and deep dived into the 6 principles of persuasion, right? So the first, anybody has any idea? Any at all? I'm a little old school, so we're using the whiteboard. So any idea about any of them? Somebody's going to type. Should I keep a check on the typing box here? Ethics? No. Anybody has any idea? Okay, let's start. The first one is the reciprocity. Okay. So reciprocating, like the easiest way is when somebody compliments you. What do? You tend to say something nice to them, correct? That's just how it is. So reciprocity is the most used principle of persuasion. And where do you use it? You use it in your college life also. You find a professor or somebody who's not doing, or a senior who's not listening to you. You will try and bribe them with something. I'll do your assignments, and I'll do that by, so that they do a favor for you and include you in some kind of a committee, or they give you opportunity that you have not been able to get. Reciprocity is the most misused of them all. Then the next one that comes in is liking. Have you heard the term opposites attract? And do you believe in it? How many of you, I just want the raise of hands. If you can just raise your hands and say, I believe that opposites attract. Nobody believes that opposites attract? Okay, how many of you people think that, okay, somebody does, right? MD. Okay, but don't you think people who are opposite are not the ones that you connect with? Usually when you sit with people who mention, like, for example, Tokir, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. But for example, this guy says, I love going camping. I love going trekking. And the other person says, I absolutely hate it and I like sitting in the room and simply Netflixing. They're opposite to each other, but now they have nothing in common. To actually be able to persuade people, you need to have something in common, because we like people who are like us. And the easiest way is you go to any country at all in the world. And if your taxi driver is an Indian, you would be like, oh, you're an Indian, you'll be so happy. And if you by chance going to a Scandinavian country, maybe Uzbekistan or Russia, where you don't find, you'll be super happy. You'll go to London and you come across a Pakistani, you'll be super happy. He's our neighbor, so we like them. So likability is one of the most important things. We like people like us. So opposites attract is kind of not the right thing to actually say. Then we go to another one, that is social proof. I'll ask you a very blatant example. When you cleared your IIT, how many of your parents actually called 10,000 relatives to tell them that their kid has cracked IIT? Just a raise of hands. And I hope all 33 of them do that. Did your parents actually call everybody? And in front of how many people did they almost rub in their face? See, our child has done IIT. Look at yours. He's not. What is that? That is a social proof. It is a proof that you're giving to the society that, see, my kid has done it. It's proven because it's one of the alma maters in the world and my kid has been able to do it. So when you go out or when you meet people or when you introduce yourself, you take a pride in telling people that I am from IIT Bombay. And if you have a certain stream which you take a pride in as well, then you go, great. Opposites attract when their interests, okay, I've got to read this. When interests don't clash with resources, someone else who says biscuits and the other doesn't make a good pair as well. Correct. So my point is there has to be, it's like a Venn diagram, right? And opposites are this. This is opposite. This is common. Of course, you're not creating a clone unless and until you guys come up with the technology. But this is, you have still some common liking. This is opposite, like we don't match at all. So that's pretty movie-like concept. It honestly doesn't work in real life. Then you come to the other one, which is scarcity. I'm taking a lot of your examples so that you understand how it's working. Why is it that you wanted to go to a certain college which had limited number of seats? Yes, it had a kind of reputation that you could get best placements, you would have a name for yourselves, and you wanted to prove it to the world that you had IQ higher than a lot of other people. That is one very important reason. But what made it more attractive is you had limited number of seats. The moment something is scarce, you want it. It's needed. Then you come to authority. Authority is something that I think I've mentioned before also. When you have authority in what you're doing, what you're saying, people tend to easily get persuaded. If, for example, you have a senior of yours who's probably working for KPMG or McKinsey, or is an entrepreneur, is a unicorn, and this person comes and says, I don't think you should do this, I think you should do that. For a moment, your mind would be like wavering that this guy has an authority. A, he's my senior. B, passed out from the same college. C, he's made a name for himself. He's working there. He's earning XYZ package. Now this person will kind of have that power to brainwash you. That is what authority does. And the last but not the least is your commitment. So commitment and consistency happens because if we've done something once, we like to kind of repeating and we like keep doing it again and again. If I give you a broader example, this is something that I covered because of you guys, that you have a certain ecosystem as of now, you're in college. But now that we apply it in real life, let's see, where does reciprocity happen in business? You go to a mall, and if you've been ever there, they're the people who are holding these samples for food trials. Have you seen? Or you've seen people getting free ebooks. Get a free ebook. Or you have a free trial. What are the chances of you actually buying that dip that you tried? What are the chances of you actually going and buying a course that's giving you a free ebook or subscribing to the channel? What are the chances of you actually taking a free trial and liking and saying, okay, I'll do it? That's why most of the car companies will send you a car. So when you go to their showroom, it's a different feeling. But when they say, sir, we'll send you a car to try, that means an XYZ company has made an effort to send the car to the comfort of your home, and then you try it. So there's a reciprocity. You'll always have a little more, like if they're parallel cars, you will have a little soft corner for the one where they made an effort for you. That is the most used concept that I've said. Then you come to liking. If you see liking, where is it mostly used? Again, in business. So I'm sure a lot of you must have seen Shark Tank. That's like Big Boss of business. And let me tell you, that is exactly not how pitches work. I have trained many people for pitching. And this is like kyunki saas bhi kabhi bahu thi of businesses, honestly speaking. But if you see, most of the people kind of target that, so I've seen your journey, I've been through your journey, I am like you, or I am from the small town as you are, or they'll ask you, oh, which college? Oh, you're from ISB. Oh, I'm also from ISB. What does that mean? I am like you. I exactly know where you come from. And the most misused concept here is unity. So liking has a subgroup called unity, which is misused by politicians, where they actually tend to divide people by a certain religion, a certain sect, a certain caste, and seek votes. But we like people like us. And that's how liking is also one of the most used options. Then we come to social proof. Where do you use social proof most in business? Again, let's go back to pitching, because you guys will eventually go back, and hopefully a lot of you would be entrepreneurs, or even when you sit for business, for giving your interviews. What is the social proof? Like you said, oh, we've been to the British XYZ competition and we won that. Or I did that and I did that. Or if you go and sit in any kind of business pitch, what do you say? We've had N number of amount in sales, or we've had XYZ number of reviews, or so many people have actually come to our website. This is the revenue. What is that? That is social proof that as a business, we have been accepted by the society. And anything that is accepted by the society, I want it. Isn't that the way social, even influencers work? They will give you that this is the it product that you need to buy. This is the it restaurant that you need to go to. This is the it word is everywhere, because it's the social proof that if you want to be on the same bandwagon, you want to jump the same bandwagon, you will jump on the social proof. That is, again, this is what people are earning a lot of money from, the social proof. Then scarcity. When it comes to business and scarcity, for example, I'll give you an example that I read. The number of people in a certain job, like for example, say the number of engineers in the country, when they are more, the demand is more and the supply is less. The choice that companies have is more. But when there's scarcity, for example, IIT Bombay has limited number of students. So they have an option, they have an edge. But the moment the college says, okay, we'll have XYZ number of people, whatever you have, into 3, do you think the scarcity will stay? And do you think you guys will get great packages? No, because the scarcity quotient has gone. Now, how is it used is you'll find multiple companies saying limited edition, or it's one of a kind, or it's rare. So any business that wants to sell, or any kind of institution or entrepreneurial organization that wants to create a little creme de la creme, like over the edge, will use it. For example, Hermes. Hermes will never give you a bag when you go to their store. I don't know how many of you know the story, but what Hermes does is when you go, there'll be a sales rep who will give you a bag and say, this is what we have. And it might be the most ridiculous cherry color. And you've come for maybe their OG Birkin. There's a case study done on it. I'm sure you guys will read it. They will not offer you that bag. You will pick whatever is given to you. You'll pay the money and you'll go. Now there's one sales rep. You come back again. And they'll again ask you, what do you want? They'll say, I want this. Now, if you're able to cozy up to the salesperson, you might actually just have to buy 2 or 3 bags worth 15, 20, 30 lakh rupees before they end up handing you over an Hermes Birkin. That too might not be the choice of the color of your choice. You just might have to be like, okay, we only have beige, or you only have that. Why? Because it's a limited edition. It's a rare commodity. Do they actually have a resale value? If you actually see by cost, it doesn't have. But because society has put into it, it's scarce, it's not available. Rolex, again, scarcity. You will not get a Rolex unless and until it's an 8-month pre-order. These are the companies that make their products scarce. And then you become like, oh, I want it, because everybody wants something that's not easily available. And one market that has taken a hit because of this is diamonds. You guys are industry graduates. I'm sure you're aware of something called a CVD, which is a man-made diamond. And the moment man-made diamond hit Indian market, the diamond prices came crashing down. Diamonds worth 10 lakhs are today being sold for 5 lakhs. The fondness or the rareness of diamonds have gone down. And that's why if you'll see, De Beers or Forever Mark have been saying natural is, they're promoting natural diamond, because there's so much of stock that every person in the whole world can actually own a diamond, because the scarcity is gone. Then you come to authority. Authority in your leadership roles also. When your boss says something, you do them. Also, an authority comes over a period of years, like Tata for that matter. Tata has an authority in the market, or somebody like Reliance, he has an authority in the market. Why? Because he's a monopolist. He's a total monopolist. The moment Reliance comes into, they know, okay, whichever business he's entering, he's bound to make sure everybody is running for their money. He's going to give them tough competition, but he has an authority. He has the right and the power to change the way the economy of the country. The same authority goes into business. When you sit down for pitching, what do they ask you? Can you tell me how many years of experience do you have? And you say 2 to 3 years. Which company? This company. And they'll say, oh, I know this person. I've worked for, I know this guy well. That's your authority proving that I have worked in this company. I have worked in this business. I've had this experience for 5 years before I jumped into making this product and begging you that please give me some money for my pitches. But authority is where you need to be very authoritative when it comes to sitting down for any pitches. That's why we always say in the beginning, make sure you struggle, get yourself 2 to 3 years of learning, because when you go and tell an investor or a venture capitalist that it's been 3 years and we've been working, they're like, oh, 3 years, this guy's learned something good, bad, and they've burned their hands. But that gives you an authority. Now we come to commitment. That doesn't come much into businesses, but it works brilliant on Shark Tank. If they commit it on screen, if it's been broadcasted in the media, they are likely to commit to you, which is very, very, very important. Now, I want to ask you a couple of questions. If any of you have any questions regarding interview and how you can use it for persuasive communication, please go ahead and ask. Anybody? Because this is a very vast topic, but it's based on what your experience is and what exactly you want out of it. Any questions in the chats?
Ma'am, wouldn't the whole point about you committing like 2 or 3 years simply just come under commitment itself?
I beg your pardon?
Like the whole point of the person having 2 to 3 years of experience, wouldn't that come under commitment as well? Because the person is committing
and consistent. You're not just committing, you've been very consistent about it, right? You did not give up in spite of the fact that you must have had a bad experience or something that could have almost broken your spirit, which every entrepreneur goes through. So when you're committing to it, it is very important, and it's taken it as a brownie point whenever and wherever you sit down. So commitment is definitely a vital thing. In fact, in leadership, all of these are spoken when we teach executive presence. So all these actually are the 6 points that I said. As a leader, how do you reciprocate? For example, if you have a committee, say you are a president of a club, if you give your members all the time they need, if you give them all the input they need, if you go and help them, do you think they will do the same back for you? They will. They will reciprocate it. Same goes for any company. You'll always find the top leaders like, he's there, he's telling people, okay, come ahead, I'll do that for you. Instead of just lecturing, you'll find that this person would be a coach. For example, if somebody is not been able to get through with their whatever needs to be done, and you say, why was it not done? The other person will be defensive, like, why such an attacking mode? But if you go and simply ask, what exactly do you think I can do to help you? How can I facilitate this for you? Now you're giving them that kind of help and support that I'm willing to do that for you. And that person, whenever needed, would be doing the same for you. So reciprocation in any industry, in any kind of field, is when you're willing to coach people. It can be people who are equal to you. That's why we say leaders are not about designations. Leaders are about organic following. There are people who are much junior to the top leadership, and you'll find they have organic following. And a lot of times when they change institution, there is a full ladder of people who follow them. And they actually have all these tick marks in persuasion. And if you come to leadership second, for example, liking. Liking is you talking to them something other than work also. If it's just about, you will go into a job, and if your boss is simply like, okay, what do you do? For example, we have Parul. Parul, did you complete the work? Yeah, fine, done. But if this person actually is someone who's willing to go out, that's why they have those meet and greets, if you've seen off campus, because they want people to mingle. They want people to care for each other. There's high IQ, then there's high EQ. You need to be able to know the people you're working with. Only then can you be a part of team. If you're not part of the team, you will not collaborate. You do not collaborate, the company comes down. That's why offsite camps happen. And the top leadership members will always make sure that they'll sit down either for a potluck lunch or they'll organize an event at their place. Like, I have a very dear friend in Avendus Capital. They're one of the known venture capitalists. Their MD will always keep a lunch or a dinner, something of that sort, probably every 3-4 months. And very few people do it. And he said, that's because when they come and see me with my family, they like me, that I am like them. I started from where they are. And they have more respect for me. And if they like me, they are more likely to listen to me. They're more likely to go out of the way to work for me. So there are different ways in which you become likable. It's more about being relatable. Likability is what I said, relatable. If I can relate to you, I will like you. If I cannot relate to you, why would I be, interested in you? That's why people who are so-called perfect will never be loved. But the people who are willing to share their vulnerability, the leaders who are willing to say that, I was jobless for 4 years, I could not find this for this many years. You're like, iski struggle apne jaisi thi boss. Ye iske is pe bhi wahi beeti thi jo mere pe beeti thi. Or I quit my job and I was homeless and my wife took. These are all the things that people need to tell other people, because the world has been living in a bubble where they portray that everything is so prim and proper, and the kind of pressure the generations take to keep up that facade, it's ridiculous. So every time we sit down and train, I'm like, the more vulnerable you are, the more lovable you are, the more likable you are, because everybody's had some kind of struggle, and you need to make sure that they know it. They're aware that it's fine. Of course, some things are private, you don't share, but when you're ready, please do. Then social proof. Social proof in leadership will always come at one place. If your team has done a brilliant job, don't be a jack and go on the stage and say, I did it. You never do that. Leadership is always about being like a mirror and a charcoal. If something great has happened, be the mirror, let the light reflect on them. Something bad has happened, be the charcoal and absorb it. So you'll never find a leader saying, my team was incompetent and inefficient, and that's why we failed. He'll take the whole responsibility. It's my fault. I should have given more time. I should have deep dived into it. I did not. But the moment the team they've had a win, they'll be like, it was all an effort of my team. You'll always find people doing it. So this is like being a glass, being a mirror, or being a charcoal. And if you can't do that, and this is something you need to develop now, college is such a great place to actually develop your leadership roles. At times, just letting go of things like, this person wants an opportunity. You might want it as much. Let it go. They will owe you one. And if they owe you one, you know the right time to use it. It's very important. And then we come to scarcity. Scarcity is the most used in team values and where the teams are inefficient. What the leaders do to make them more efficient is they'll say the timeline is not 1 month, it's 15 days. Now you'll find that your team will work their butt off to make sure that it happens. And when the time is less, I'm sure you guys are students, you've read for all of your exams, staying up at night, drinking Red Bulls, and everybody does that. But when time is scarce, you work much more smartly. You know the right person to get hold of for getting those notes. You know the right person to sit and study a certain subject with. You are able to figure out the best talent that can be utilized in the best way possible, that you would never do when you have a lot of time. If I know that I have to complete a task in 15 days, right? And it was 1 month. Now I'm like, I need to work smart. You'll be like, isko pakdo, ye isme acha, isko pakdo, ye isme acha, and you'll be willing to adjust, you'll be willing to collaborate because the timeline is now short. So scarcity is one of the smartest way to use across. Then authority, he's the boss. If he knows his knowledge, if he knows his subject, if he has all the knowledge about what is he talking about, if he's an expert in his field, people will listen to him. That's without a doubt said. Commitment and consistency. If the leader is not willing to commit, if he's not giving extra hours, but expect his team to stay up till 8, I don't think the team will ever do it. They will find a pretext to say, this is not happening, that is not happening. So if you actually want people to commit, you have to walk the talk. You don't walk the talk, nobody's going to be there for you. Very important. Again, any other questions? I'll just take a water break, a moment. Any confusions whatsoever? Anything that is a little doubtful to you? Knock, knock. Anybody? Nobody? Somebody? Okay. So this is typically a non-verbal or verbal situation. This is a verbal situation wherein it's only 23%. The most important and the easiest way to persuade someone is the non-verbal. And a lot of people actually end up completely crashing it. They would not be sounding very persuasive. So there are 5 things that everybody knows in non-verbal communication. That is your rate of speech, that is your volume, that is your tone and melody, that is your pause, and then that is your pitch. And a lot of people, when they sit down, I've had people who have conversations like, I'm here to pitch my business today, and my business has been making, say, about $100,000 a month. If I talk like this, would you be persuaded with what I say? There's something wrong. I'm using the right kind of English. I'm using the right grammar. But if you end your sentences at a higher pitch, which is the most common mistake that's made by non-native English speakers, the level of persuasion is going to be nada. Nobody would want to even believe what you said. So whenever you're trying to persuade someone or you're saying something important, like, for example, you sit for an interview and they say, why would you be willing to, like, you're a fresher, correct? You're a fresher. Why would we want to give you a job? And if you say, I believe in your company and I think this company would be a right fit for me. I'm a hard worker and I'd be very easy to learn anything. I'm very adaptable. There's a tone and pitch that's going there. It's not great. Also, this is the most tricky question they ask. And you always have to see that if they're asking you a question, which is asking you to highlight your negative aspect, that means you don't have experience, you simply go on the other side. You say, well, the best part is I'm like a fresh slate. I'm a quick learner. I like learning new things and I come with a different perspective. So I do understand that I have my seniors who have this great vision and experience. I come with a new energy. I come with a new perspective to learn and a new idea about what we can do next. So you have, in a way, told them that, yes, you have experience. I respect that and I need to learn from you. But just because I don't have work experience, it does not mean that I'm dumb. It just means that I come from a newer, fresher perspective. I come with a better energy and I'm like clean slate. I'm willing to learn. So every time, this is a trick question. Every time they think that, okay, I'm going to put this person at a tough spot, that you haven't done this or you haven't done that, you figure out what you can do. So if it's like, I've been a president of this club, I've been to so many events, I've organized so many this, you have done things that they might have not have done. And they will ask for your confidence. When you persuade someone, if you do not believe in yourself, you will not be able to persuade people. So when you sit down on that chair, which is like a typical hot seat, you make sure that you believe yourself and you have so much of conviction in what you're saying that, okay, there might be 250 people sitting outside, but I know what I offer. And if you have that attitude, they will believe you outrightly without any questions asked. Now, guys, I want to know any questions if you have, because this cannot be a one-sided conversation. Anybody has any questions? Any at all? Any questions in the chat box? I thought you were quite an inquisitive bunch. No questions at all? So I think this will be a wrap then, because I thought it would be a Q&A thing, and the best way to get out of it is to ask your questions if it's about anything. It could be about business pitches. It could be about any question regarding that, or any public speaking event for that matter. But if you don't have any questions, it cannot be a one-sided conversation. And I think that'll be it then.
I have a question. So, is there any reason why, like, we tend to end our sentences on a high pitch?
It's mostly the self-doubt. If it's a questioning tone, when you're questioning your own self, you'll always have a high pitch, like, how are you today? Where have you been? I don't think this is the right thing to do. But the moment you believe in it, it's like, I think I'm truly smart. I believe that I can achieve anything that I want if I put myself to it. So the moment you put it down, there's a weightage in what you say. And if there's a weightage in what you say, the other person will take you seriously. And I've met a lot of people who do this blunder. At times, you'll have to practice doing it. Also, your volume is also one thing where people miss out. Some people think it's very soft spoken to talk in a certain volume, but if you do not vary your volume, so what you have to understand is our attention span is now smaller than that of the goldfish, the last I heard. So the moment you already are speaking in a certain monotone, which you will find a lot of top leaders talking, and I'm sure you'll find a lot of your professors talking like that. Today, we will actually be addressing this topic, and I suggest that you look into your books and give me your assignments on time, because this is it's a tone you can predict. The moment the human mind can predict that this is going to go in this da 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 da, they lose it. The moment you become unpredictable, the moment like, oh, this person's going to say something I did not know. Now, that is why melody plays a very important role. Some people have beautiful melody in their voice, and you'll find that they usually have people look at them. Even if they'll not listen to them, they'll keep looking at their face. Melody does that. So if you are not having melody in your voice, if you're not willing to change your pitch and tone, you will not be interested. Nobody will be interested in listening to you. That's fact. Even if you're giving them the golden nuggets of knowledge, you really need to work onto your non-verbal communication. That's why when we sit down for pitches, there are times when we practice for 40 days to 50 days for delivering a 60-minute keynote. Because everything is literally choreographed from where will you move on the stage to what gesture would come, how your expression would be, would there be a bounce in your feet? We do exercises like grounding exercise, all of that. How do we practice changing our pitch and tone? Read children's books. Children's books are the easiest way. If you do not remember, some of the best storytellers have this beautiful sound. You will find them being so expressive that you're like, oh, I'm back to my childhood days. Why is that? Why do they evoke all the emotions? Why do your normal physics books don't evoke any emotions? Because they're spoken in a certain way. So if you really want to change your pitch and tone, grab yourself a Red Riding Hood and pretend like you're narrating it to a child. Once upon a time in a jungle, there lived a granny. And you will talk like that because as children, that's what we've heard from our teachers. Right? I hope that I answered that question of pitch and tone. I think yes. Yes, please.
Am I audible?
Yes, you very much are, darling. Tell me.
Ma'am, actually, I do take part in various speech competitions, and after writing my speech, I want to practice it speaking. But during practicing, I find myself to be so manipulative, so overacting type. Like I'm acting to speak because, as you said, that we have to change our pitch and tone. So when I speak like that, I find myself that it is very easily recognizable that I'm acting like that. It's not natural.
Okay.
So where am I going wrong? Because, for example, if you like to understand, I might speak that, yes, people, it's true that you're doing wrong, but can we do something good? So this is like very much easily understandable that I'm acting in this way. We don't speak naturally like this. So that's where the things go wrong.
Let me correct you. If you go and meet some of the best speakers in the world, you will find them talking like that. It's just that you have spoken in a certain way for years and your classmates know that you don't speak like that, which inhibits your willingness to actually try a new way of speaking. It does not mean that it is wrong. There's a very simple thing. Just because I'm different than you does not mean that I'm wrong. So what you can do is, of course, I understand when you speak, your classmates would be like, I've had people tell me that, oh, you have an accent or something like, you speak in a certain diction, but I was brought up like that. Now, if you're willing to change, and I tell a lot of my clients when they're like, I can't express like this. If you want to stand apart, you have to do what others don't do. You can't expect to be like the crowd and then stand out in the crowd. It's just not the right way. So you have to be okay with doing it if you're speaking. And when you keep speaking it, understand the way you speak is a behavior. It's not an art. It's not a skill. You have actually absorbed that behavior from your society, maybe your parents, maybe your friends, your relatives, your whatever, where you lived in the neighborhood. That's the reason a Marathi would have a different accent. Somebody from, Tamil Nadu would have a different accent. A Punjabi would have a different accent. Somebody from Pakistan would have a different lehza. Why? Because we've absorbed this from our people, and that's a behavior. And when you want to change your behavior, it takes a lot of practice. It does not happen overnight. It cannot happen overnight. So be fine with it. Be comfortable with it. You have to become a little stony-eared for this, that it's fine. I'm doing it. It's not overacting at all. Let me tell you that. Shuru mein lagega, but when you keep doing it, it becomes a part of your talking. You start talking like that. There's some people who are just so expressive and we love looking at them. But when it comes to us, we are our worst self-critique. We need to stop doing that. And I heard you speak, it was not overacting.
Okay, ma'am, thank you. Actually, you were right. In the home only, my siblings told me that don't overact and don't do that, don't speak like this. So, yeah.
Because they're
Thank you.
comfortable the way you are. You're making them uncomfortable. Imagine somebody you know for years suddenly acts in a different way. You're like, why is he doing this? Why is she doing?
No,
I'm so comfortable with you, right? So it's
yeah.
uncomfortable for your siblings. It does not mean that you're wrong.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
I'll practice with the same way.
Just do it, and do it till the time it becomes a part and parcel of the way you speak. It's natural. It happens over a period of time. Just grab a book, read a page every day, and I think probably after 3-4 months we'll be talking like that in general as well. In an interview, how to modulate voice if the bass volume is high in the first place. Okay, so when you do that, so see there's a volume between 0 to 10, right? So 0 being very low, you can't hear me at all. 10 being very high, then I'm like hurting your ears. The easiest way is grab a book and start reading from volume being low to volume being high. Like, today's the 4th of July and I plan to speak and talk about it till the time I don't get tired, because I'm talking about persuasive speaking, and when I'm done talking about persuasive speaking, so you read. So when you modulate your voice up and down, you will be comfortable in accessing the lower volumes as well. Right now, probably you are accessing the higher volume. Again, probably because maybe from your household, people speak at a little high volume. So you must be like a 8 on 10 or a 9 on 10. Other people might be like, why are you screaming? For regular people, it's like that. And sometimes some people have this volume like, and we have to tell them, can you be a little loud? And they're like, I'm being loud. So you have to practice and be comfortable with both the volumes, the low and the high. But the right volume pace is anywhere between 4 to 7. When you add a variety of 4 to 7, it's wonderful for everyday talking. The moment you go on stage, of course, it can be dramatic from a 3 to 9. Is that, I hope I answered your question, Mangesh.
Yeah, actually, ma'am, I was going forward for that question. When I will answer any particular fact, then it will be in much higher volume. And when I am speaking in a certain or answering some question, then it will be in lower volume. And the higher volume will be like 10 when I am stating or I am proving the fact or stating the fact.
Did you see? I'm proving the fact. Did you hear the line? Proving the fact. When we get excited about telling someone that I know something that you do not know, we are excited, the volume goes up. When you win, oh, I got the job. That's excitement. Yeah. So when you are excited about something where you're like, I need to tell this fact because I know it, and 10 other people in the class don't know it, but I know it. So I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you now, and you better hear this.
Yeah.
You see how it changes. Yeah. So it's a behavior that you need to be like, okay, fine. I know the fact. There's no need to be fidgety about it, and you can simply state it. But you have to have this conversation with yourself. And I'm going to give you one very simple example. Sometimes it's our need to prove, and it's not now. Over a period of years from the childhood, when you have proven yourself again and again that I'm like a grade A student and you want to be heard, you tend to scream, and then it becomes a habit. You get it?
Okay, ma'am.
So that need to tell people that I'm smarter than you, it has to die. You are smart, people will know it. Just be a little subtle about it. Like, I think I want to talk about it. So start your sentences on a notion that gives you that pace. Aap seedha fact quote karne ke bajaye, say something that I have my 2 cents on this. I would like to express something about it. The moment you say a line before that, apne aap wo volume niche hogi and you'll be able to state the facts. But if you go straight about it, yeah.
Actually, I was continuing about interview thing.
Achha, for interview.
Yeah, in an interview.
So again, for example, somebody asked you that if you're stating the facts about your life, correct me.
Or about some questions they asked, and I know this, and then I will answer it.
So excited.
And yeah.
Okay, so whenever you sit down for a place like that where you know that you can actually get overexcited and hyper, please spend a few minutes alone and do a box breathing. I don't know if you guys have been told, but this works brilliantly when we go on stage and we're excited. So box breathing is equal 4 seconds of breathing, 4 seconds of hold, and 4 seconds of, because what it does is it primes your mind that everything is sab aaram se ho raha hai. And you just need to prime your mind that everything is going to be nice and calm and smooth. And I don't have to be excited about anything. Because if you reflect so much of excitement, it can either work in your favor or it might work against you. But a smart posture, and always the best thing is take a 2-second pause. 2 seconds is not a big deal. They've asked you a question. Don't be in a hurry to just like, I know it. It's not 2 plus 2, 4. Even if they ask you is 2 plus 2, 4, it's 4. I took a 2-second pause. It's not awkward. That looks awkward in our mind. A 2-second pause is not awkward. So when you have a question, take a 2-second pause. सुनो ताकि उनको भी लगे कि आपने सोचने का टाइम लिया है, आप सोच समझ के जवाब दे रहे हो. People like that. This person is being patient. He's comprehending the question and then replying. So there's no point of proving. That's what Indian education system tells us. If you know it, you raise your hand. You don't need to raise your hand. The seat is yours. The question is yours. You are not competing against someone. So pause, smile, answer. So every time you sit down, you can even repeat it in your mind. Pause. आपसे question पूछेंगे, आप सुनो. Just say the word pause. मन में आपने बोला pause. And then answer. It's a 2-second pause. And it'll keep you much calm than anything else will.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. How should our body language complement the speech? Oh, body language is such a beautiful topic. So see, when it comes to body language, in context, can I know the context? Are we talking about an interview? Are we talking about stage presence? Or are we talking about in general?
Stage presence or in general?
Okay. So the first thing I'll tell you that I tell all my mentees is, you always have a first impression that you can make every time you enter the door. For example, if I'm entering the room, the moment I cross and I'm crossing the door, I will always do like this: shoulders up, shoulders at the back, shoulders down. So the moment the gapping between my neck and my shoulder is there, I will look more authoritative. The moment I go down, there's something about my authority that goes. The moment I'm like this and I walk into a room like this, for example, if you see me walking like this, like, how are you guys? Versus, how are you guys? The diaphragm goes down, my volume goes down. So the first thing is that you need to make sure that your posture is impeccable. And I give a lot of exercises because we have a tech neck and you guys are techies, so you know it. Keep your postures. The more broad your shoulders are, the more gap between your neck and shoulders is, the more authoritative and more influential you'll look. Very important. Now, when we come on stage, this is a vast topic, but there's something called a stage choreography that we do when we are trying to deliver keynotes and when we're preparing our mentees. But every line that you speak has to be choreographed with what kind of gestures you have. And the most important one, just let me keep the bottle. The most important one that I think we all need to practice is, a lot of people I see keep their hands like this. Aise hoga. You'll find people talking like this. This is also, I'm trying to make my body language small. That means I'm scared to be noticed. That's a subconscious way, because body never lies, the words can. But the moment you open your arms, your body stretches, and then you talk about things, do you see how more expressive it looks, the more authority I have? I'm going to talk to you about body language, and it's very important that we pay a lot of attention. But the moment I go like this and say, we're going to talk about body language, and it's very important that you see, I'm making myself small. So when you make yourself small, people sitting in front don't listen to your words. We are primitive beings, right? We read body language before we understand words, because language is a recent development. But body language, sign language, was much older. So the moment my body language is smart, it means I know what I'm talking about. There's something about me that I'm confident about. You don't know what I'm confident about, but I know I'm confident about something. So you have to, first of all, always have a larger body. Even when you sit for an interview, They say the more space you occupy, right? Don't sit like this. Like, don't keep a file where you sit like this. This is the worst posture. If you have a bag, carry a bag, put it on the side, shoulders apart, if you can, keep your palms like this and talk. No, nothing of that sorts, but like this, or even a simple steeple would be fine. But I see a lot of people, then they cling to their file, they're making their body language small. And when you make it small, you know what mind says? It's time to rush. It's time to rush. I don't want to be noticed. Your creativity, your cognition also goes down. So the larger body language will always be better. Try to occupy. In fact, we tell a lot of people, जो बहुत छोटी रखते हैं, try to walk on the road like this. कोई भिड़ जाए, मतलब let's see. Do people leave space for you? You will find people leaving space. They will notice it. आप ऐसे चल के देखो, आपको दिखेगा 2-4 लोग आपके आसपास भिड़ेंगे भी नहीं. Their mind is reading this person is occupying space for some reason. We don't know. That's why wrestlers walk like this. They're more larger than they are. That's like, I'm powerful. You get it?
Yes.
Yeah. Any other question, guys? If you guys have any other question, you can drop it to me on my Instagram. Also, I'm pretty interactive there, so I can always answer you there. If you have any question regarding speeches, or you're writing down something. Okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, I have to ask about a speech actually. Usually, the speeches that I get to hear when they are performed on the stage, they're
Yeah.
mostly like aggressive type. No, there's very little speeches which will be very silent and soft spoken, but mostly the speeches. I'm talking about those speeches, not related to interviews or that, fine. They are like, we can do that, we can of course do that, and we need to do that.
Okay.
And there are very little speeches who will say that we need to think about how can we make it happen, and so it is very much required. So is there something difference between being aggressive and being soft while speaking, while giving majorly like for speeches,
Okay.
especially for speeches?
Got it. So there is a purpose of speech. What is the purpose of speech? If it's about aggression, is the person trying to motivate you? And everybody has a personality. If you've seen Tony Robbins, he's always aggressive. Like, he's like, this is the time that you have to do it. Today is your day. All of that. That's his style of speaking. Now imagine if Tony Robbins, somebody is all over the place, the 6'6" guy, if he suddenly starts talking like, today is this wonderful day to make a change and bring about a change in your life, you'd be like, he's gone cuckoo in his head. So there are people who have a certain style of talking, like Simon Sinek. He's much more calm. He will not be talking like this, but he talks more on facts and status quos. He doesn't talk very motivating. His logic is to talk about the leadership and the way the corporate world is, shaping people, and how as leaders we are doing a good job or a bad job. So it's the purpose of the speech. If it's a motivational speech, it has to be pumped and packed with energy. Yes, it does not mean that it has to be like that. Remember, I told you the variety part? The moment your brain can predict, you go like, oh, this person will talk like that. But if you had a variety, now imagine if he had a high pitch and he had high energy, and suddenly for a while he became a little quiet and there were pauses. Your brain is like, oh, there's something interesting happening. And then suddenly he changes it again. So there are different types of speech styles that we teach, in which it depends on what's the purpose. If your purpose is to educate people, there's a different style. If it's to motivate others, it's a different style. If it's simply to connect with people, it's a different style. So that completely changes your volume and your energy and your pitch and your tone. So the ones that you've been seeing these days, it's kind of like a trend where people want to be motivating others, take action today, don't wait for tomorrow. So because you're checking out one speech, you're getting similar speeches on your feed, I guess.
Yes, ma'am.
I will suggest you to check out, I'll say, I don't have it right now, but if somebody can share, I have a TEDx speech, okay? And my TEDx speech is one of the very nice comic speeches. I had a good time laughing about it. I had great fun when I spoke that. So you can see that you don't really need to be high and top when you are trying to motivate people. But understand, if somebody is talking to, say, 10,000 people, technically you're having a conversation with individuals and they're 10,000, your energy has to be high. You have to be as big as the room. If you're not as big as the room, they don't see you as valuable. So if you're checking him on screen, that person has made the video for maybe 10,000 people watching him, or maybe there were 50,000 people in that auditorium or amphitheater.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. I'll watch it.
Great.
Also, on top of that, should we control our pace and pitch according to the audience reaction? Like how the audience responds?
Absolutely. If you've just said something and people are cracking, like they're laughing, why would you want to take that moment away? Stop. Let them laugh. Let them enjoy. If you've said something that's a little serious, stop. Let them feel. Let them absorb. Then start. अगर आपने कोई बहुत profound चीज बोली है, right? For example, you're telling the story of your life, and something happened that was serious, or maybe there was something that they didn't expect, and you've just quoted it. Give them a moment. Look in their eyes, like literally scan the room like that. Then speak. Because now you've given them the time to absorb and feel the emotion that you're feeling. So you need to have it's the right kind of pace. I always say when something is important, bring your pace down. Something is unimportant, bring your pace up. Make sense?
Yes, got it.
Yeah. Any questions? Okay, if you guys have any questions that you think you want to ask, like I said, just drop me a DM and I'll get back to you guys. I'm more into audio notes. So I'll send you a voice note on Instagram if need be. And I hope you guys have a great time and enjoy yourself. And you will take some of those tips for persuading people, and you will give a couple of compliments to others, and give compliments in general, because then they will give you a compliment as well. And be likable in general. Be nice and likable. When you're just humble and polite to people, they are likable. So try and be that. Smile very often. This is the most underguarded tool that you don't use. Smile. People love people who smile. When they walk across on the street and you have a little smile on your face, you'll find people kind of flashing you a smile, because we have mirror neurons. So if I'm happy and if I look at somebody, they'll be like, I'm happy too. So it's important that you do that. And if any questions, I'm always available. All right, guys? Shall we call it a wrap? Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I hope you guys took some pointers. It's a very big topic and it does take a lot of time, but I thought that this is something that you guys will be benefited from, especially when you will sit down for your interviews. So if anything related to interview you want to ask, because I know that's a primary thing when it comes to you guys graduating, I would be very happy to help. And you can connect with me on Insta or LinkedIn, whichever you guys have. Cool? So thank you so much, Aditya. And Gautam, I can't see him though, but thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and answering all of our questions.
No, I'm very happy to help. In fact, you guys connected with me, and then I was like, I love teaching younger kids, because I teach so many 40 years old and it's too boring. So I'll now be teaching at an MBA college in Delhi called Masters
That's
Union.
nice.
So they're like a very trendy college of Pratham Mittal and Ashneer Grover. So it's like more of a Insta college, I call them, but they've got some really good kids. So I think you guys kind of encouraged me. Let's go back to teaching young kids.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
thank you so much. I had a great
Welcome.
time, guys, and I hope to see you soon.
Likewise, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. See ya.